Good evening. I am Count Enzo.
And I am Countess Reyna.
And this is the date night horror show, Vampire Edition. Oh my God.
We're dorks.
Yeah. Sorry. New listeners, sorry. We're not normally that dorky,
Well,
but
I'm not.
that's true. So I have to say, Dana, I am very excited about this episode.
Totally your jam right here.
This is 100, 200, 300% my jam.
Mm-hmm.
This is why vampires are why I love horror movies. I can date it back to a very specific moment in my childhood. I remember watching cheerleader theaters on Saturday nights on Channel 11 back in Nogales, Arizona, where we both grew up. And I remember watching the original Dracula, 1931, the great Bela Lugosi.
Yeah.
And there's a specific moment in the movie that changed everything for me.
Ooh, what was that?
When Jonathan Harker gets to his castle and Count Dracula walks down the stairs and there's cobwebs and there's this big staircase and he makes his way down the stairs elegantly, confidently. You know, he's got that dark edge, everything. And I remember at that moment thinking to myself, and I'm this little kid. I was probably like 7 years old.
Aw.
I remember thinking, when I grow up, I want to be like that guy.
Like Dracula?
Yeah, you know, it's like...
Well, Dracula's very elegant.
I'm sure this happens to every child. Every child has, you know, as you grow up, you see a movie or you see a sports figure or, you know, a president, you know, someone of prominence, and you think to yourself, wow, that's something to be. There's something about this person, you know? And for me, it was Bela Lugosi.
But actor or Dracula?
It was Dracula.
Yeah. So you wanted to grow up to be Dracula.
I wanted to grow up to have that elegant, confident, and edge and sense of danger, and like I wanted that thing that I first saw in Bela Lugosi's Dracula. And since then, you know, growing up, becoming a teenager and seeing rock stars, and they have a similar thing, that confidence, that edge, you know, that slight darkness, you know. And I think that vampires, you know, ushered in that era. It's like, and I think it goes even deeper. It's I feel like vampires are a subculture, like they're an underground thing, you know. So when I think about it, I think horror and vampires, they were my first subculture. So, and since then, you know, I love punk music, I love metal, I love, you know, gothic music, like anything that's not on top 40 radio, like, you know, piques my interest. And horror is a huge subculture as well.
I think I like vampires because the things you mentioned, like all that, but I think they're also they're pretty sexy. Yeah. And they're sensual. And stay with me on this one because you think I'm weird, like with zombies. But even when they're like sucking the blood out of people's necks, there's a sensuality to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's like absolutely.
Like an intimacy,
there's an
even though they're killing them.
Sex kind of vibe to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the vampire fantasy too is like the sexiest version of you. You know, it's like I think that's why people from all walks of life are drawn to the vampire lore and vampire films in general. It's like everyone wants to feel more desired. Everyone wants to feel eternally youthful, intrinsically cool. coolest person in the room, that sort of thing. And especially the modern vampire is that. I think Bram Stoker's Dracula is more about superstition and sexual repression and all that.
Right.
But I think nowadays it's more about sexual exploration, sexual confidence, and then it has that rock and roll, punk rock coolness of a subculture, you know. And I think that's why people 300 years from now are going to still watch horror movies with vampires in them. I think that's why it transcends that way. Okay, before we get started, Reyna, I want to do a big shout out to all our new listeners.
Awesome.
I'm super excited. The response to the show has blown me away.
Thank you.
And our numbers keep going up and up.
Gracias,
and
gracias.
We have people listening in Indonesia, in Australia,
nice,
in Germany, in the UK, in the Netherlands.
Wow.
And we're doing really well in the US as well.
Love it.
And we have one person listening in Mexico as well.
Gracias.
So thank you guys.
Mexico. Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much for listening to the show, and hopefully you can start interacting with us on social media.
We would love that
as well. Again, we're on Facebook at the Date Night Horror Show, all one thing. Instagram, we're Date Night Horror Show without the. And then you can always go to the datenighthorshow.com, and we're there as well. And on Twitter, we're at date_horror. And we respond to every comment. Let's do some shout outs to some of our new listeners.
New and faithful listeners, I feel like.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to shout out to my BFF, who has been a huge supporter, Tanya R. and Tom R.
Right.
They're an amazing couple who love horror as well, and they've been an amazing source of support and always listen to our podcast. So thank you guys. And we have a special treat later on in our podcast with them. And then I definitely want to say thank you to Nicole M. She has actually watched some of the movies on our list.
Yeah.
And given us feedback, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, she gives us review feedback.
Yeah, what she thought of it, and she's involved her son who has a love for horror. So
yeah, she's got a mother and son relationship.
I know, I love
my
that.
My mom started me out on horror as well, so I think that's super cool.
Good job, Nicole.
Yeah, that's good parenting right there.
It is.
And some of our other new listeners and interactors on Facebook. Matt M., thank you for your insightful comments.
Yeah, they're awesome. Keep them coming.
And Sparkle F., thank you so much for supporting the show.
Thank you. And Leanne M., thank you so much for listening to our podcast. We appreciate it.
Yeah, and again, lots more great episodes coming up. Super excited about this one. So let's get going.
All right.
Well, one thing I do want to say about our show in general is I think there's a lot of other podcasts, horror podcasts, that they'll take one per episode. They'll review one movie, but I think what we do is we're curators. So to our listeners, if you want to watch a great vampire movie, listen to our vampire episode, and we'll give you 10 good movies to watch. I think that's the format that's working for us.
Yeah.
People who have listened to our previous episodes are like, wow, I knew this movie and this movie, but I had never heard of this movie, and this movie. And then they go out and watch it and they're like, that movie is great. So I feel like that's our job.
Yeah.
We're curating horror, even if it's old stuff, if it's worth watching. So with this vampire episode, I tried to pick the not so obvious ones from my list, or the ones that were slightly buried. But I don't mind also bringing up something I've spoken to before. This is just all vampire. Let's just go. Let's sink our teeth into this. Okay, are you ready now?
Yes. You go first though, because this is your thing.
Cool. Yeah, absolutely. So my first choice is 1983's The Hunger.
I remember when we watched it.
Yeah, starring Catherine Deneuve, Susan Sarandon, the late great David Bowie, and it's kicked off right at the beginning by one of my favorite goth bands of all time, the Beatles of Goth, Bauhaus.
Yeah.
Yeah. This movie is slinky, super sexy. It breaks a ton of convention. It's awesome. Couple of things. The main vampire character is a woman this time.
Yeah.
And she has relationships with people, and then when she's done with them, she kind of discards them. And it's got that punk rock cool to it. At the beginning of the movie, the two main vampire characters are at this kind of goth club, and they're picking other people up, and it's such a great film overall. Like, you know, how the story continues and kind of what happens with Catherine Deneuve and the Susan Sarandon character.
And the boy character.
Yeah, it's a sleek, sexy movie. It's, to me, it's one of those like archetypical sexy vampire movies, and it's really, really great.
Yeah, I remember watching it as teenagers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I thought you were a cochino because it was, you know, because we were teenagers.
It's pretty risque.
It's pretty sexual
for the time. Yeah. But really tastefully done.
Yeah. That is a good vampire one.
Yeah. Just everything about it is interesting. And for its time, it broke a bit of convention. I'm not going to reveal that because I think younger viewers should go see it, find it. But it didn't do traditional things. It kind of broke a little bit of the convention there, but it still felt, it had all the great things about vampire lore. You know, it was still scary and dangerous and sexy and sleek and so I would have to go with The Hunger.
That's a good one.
Yeah. What's your first choice?
Okay, so I'm just gonna go total opposite.
Okay, do it.
And say 1998 Blade.
Oh, cool.
I liked Blade a lot, but it's very different because it's one, he's half vampire, half human, and he's trying to kill all the vampires. Mm-hmm. So it's more action packed. It's more action than sexy, and
it's interesting though. I feel like it does have the sexiness. Like it does have.
Well, it does. Yeah, I mean,
it has the subculture thing, and it has. To be honest with you, I mean, Reyna and we do hang out in vampire bars, so we know that subculture really, really well. Yeah. And that first scene, the rave scene that happens in the kind of the basement, you know, that they've kind of taken cool over. Scene. Yeah, and the bloodbath and all that. Yeah. That, dude, we've been to places like that. So it's funny because when
without the bloodbath.
Without the blood part, but I remember seeing that scene and going, wow, I bet you these, you know, the directors and stuff, they probably went to the kind of clubs we go to. Yeah. And they're like, oh, we got to put this in the movie.
I love that scene. That's probably one of my favorite scenes. Mm-hmm.
And again, it comes down to that vampires, it's a subculture thing. It's a subculture coolness, a kind of secret society sort of thing.
Yeah, I really liked the club scene. I thought that was a nice touch. And like you said, we've gone to clubs that look like that. So it was cool. It was a cool scene to have in there.
Yeah, I thought that was good. And you know what? Blade 2 is really good too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and that's, you know, Guillermo del Toro, who directed that. If you remember the new strain of vampire that he had in Blade 2, it's definitely a precursor to the strain. And there's things about the strain series that I like. There's things I don't like. But yeah, I think overall it's a pretty cool vampire movie. Those movies lean more towards action, and they're definitely comic book movies, but there's some cool horror gore in both Blade 1 and 2.
Oh, definitely.
So
I enjoyed the Blade movies.
Yeah, I think any horror fan would like them. So I think that's a really good choice.
So what's your next choice?
My next movie is Innocent Blood, 1992. John Landis. We all know him for the amazing American Werewolf in London. This is his take on a vampire movie. and it's a really, really original take on it. And
I don't remember this one.
It's gory and funny as well. It talks about a young vampire who's a woman, again. And she's played by a French actress named Annie Parolade. She's known for La Femme Nikita, if you remember that movie. And I think this is the follow-up movie that she did right after that.
I see a theme here.
Dude, this movie is awesome. So basically, it's this vampire that's I think it's in New York. And she lures men, with her feminine charms. And then she's this brutal vampire. And she kills them. At one point, she attracts a mob boss, and the mob boss, because he's this tough guy, he's able to get away, and he turns into a vampire. So that's what's neat about the film, is like you're seeing a vampire and a vampire infection infect an entire mob crew, and so you have that great juxtaposition between the two things. Through the course of the movie, she meets a young detective played by Anthony LaPaglia. And, they start to have feelings for each other. But the film is so entertaining. It's really funny at times. Don Rickles is in this movie.
Really?
Yes. And it's one of those really entertaining horror films. And again, John Landis, American Werewolf in London. Think about that sensibility. He knows how to tell a good horror story. He knows how to keep you entertained, and it's fun. And
there's a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah, and the vampire effect in this movie is really strong, like very strong. They did this thing with the contacts where they look like they might be reflective. So when they open their eyes, they look like their eyes are glowing. Like really glowing, like there's light in there. It's such a cool movie. And when this vampire woman, when she vamps out, she makes like cheetah noises, like animal noises. So it's like, it's really, there's a brutality to her attack as well. Innocent Blood, 1992. Look that one up. That one's really, really fun and well done.
I don't remember this movie at all.
Great. We're gonna watch it again.
We should definitely watch it
again because it's really, really good. Do you have your next choice?
Yes. So my next choice is 30 Days of Night.
Oh,
I really love that movie.
Yeah, I love that movie.
So 30 Days of Night, and there's two, right? There's 30 Days of Night. I really they're both really good, but I really like the first one.
I like the first one. Yeah. I think the first one is a powerhouse.
Yeah. So it's a small town in Alaska, and they go a solid month of darkness. And so as some of the residents of that small town are preparing to leave for that month, they're invaded by these really crazy vampires.
Oh my God, they're so good.
Really good.
Yeah.
They're fast moving, they're brutal. It's like a gang. Yeah, it's like a little gang, or so that they're well organized.
And what's neat about them too is that they're dressed like Europeans. Like there's kind of an exotic foreign quality to them.
Yeah.
And the makeup separates their eyes a little bit, which makes them look more rodent-like.
Yeah. Well, that's Danny Houston plays Marlo, who's that main vampire, that one main vampire.
So
he looks very rodent-like.
So good.
And
his performance is so good.
Yeah. And the kills are brutal.
This movie
it's really tense.
This movie is a gore fest. Mm-hmm. I've always said that vampires, yes, they can be as sexy as you want them to be, but I don't think the sexy should ever overpower the danger and the scare.
Yeah.
Right? This movie takes the vampire thing and throws it in the whole other direction too.
Oh yeah.
There's very little sexy, but they are scary and dangerous, and it is bloody.
Very bloody.
So bloody. I love that movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie. So if you haven't seen it or you haven't seen it in a while, check it out because we just recently saw it again.
So good.
And it's really good. Yeah, it really holds up.
That one is awesome. It's based on a graphic novel as well. So you took you took one of mine.
Sorry. So, I figured that was gonna happen.
30 Days of Night is one of mine. Like, I love that movie. So I'll move on to my next one. My next one is 2010's We Are the Night. So this is a German film.
Oh.
And we saw the English dubbed version of it. And what's cool about We Are the Night is it's sort of like if you were to combine Lost Boys with Sex and the City.
What? I don't remember this one either.
It sounds ridiculous, but
sounds really weird.
It's exactly like that. It's like a young girl. I think she moves to Berlin. I think it's Berlin, and she starts to notice these really exotic, fashionable group of women, and she befriends them. And it's sort of like in Lost Boys, she becomes seduced by their crew and their group, and it turns out that they're vampires. And they pretty much just feed on men that they lure into their lair. And similar to Lost Boys, it's kind of the progression of the girl, slowly going into their subculture and kind of getting to know what's going on. It's awesome. Like it's very visually creative. There's a really interesting wall walking sequence in the movie. I'll keep it vague. Really worth watching. It's definitely sexy and very visual. We Are the Night.
We Are the Night.
You'd probably remember it if I put it back on, but it's a really interesting one. Well worth the watch. Check that one out. Do you have your next one?
I do. You might laugh at this one, but I remember this one being. I remember you asking me if I remember this movie, and I didn't, so you played it for me again, and I really had fun watching it because it's definitely more of a drive-in vampire movie.
Okay.
Fright Night.
Oh, Fright Night. Yeah, that's on my list.
Really?
No, it's not in my 5, but it's on my list.
Yeah, 1985 Fright Night. So it's a teenager. I'll read the little synopsis. A teenager discovers that the newcomer in his neighborhood is a vampire. So he turns to an actor in a television horror show for help dealing with the undead.
Yeah, it's interesting. This whole setup has become a big trope in horror where it's the young kid and he's kind of eavesdropping on his neighbors and he starts to realize that it's either a serial killer or, something's going on next door and he has to say something. This is one of the first films to really do that. You have other things like Rear Window and things like that, but as far as like a horror movie, teenager trope, yeah, Fright Night.
Yeah, I think it's a fun one. Like it's
a fun one. There's some really great practical in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So it's definitely like sorry. So it's definitely more like a drive-in vampire fun date night movie.
And I think it's intentionally trying to do that. Mm-hmm. But I think the vampire and the horror stuff and the practical stuff is all really effective and super fun. Yeah, and they did a remake of A Fright Night. Do you remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, with Colin Farrell.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay, so I'm gonna touch upon something here. And I didn't think the film was that successful, and I'll tell you why. Similar to Tom Cruise as in Interview with a Vampire, the football jocks, the alpha males, like those types, they should not be the Draculas. There should be a subculture element to people who play vampires.
Right.
Because that thing That, you know what I mean? Like that renegade thing.
Yeah.
Like look at David in Lost Boys, and all the guys who were in Lost Boys. That thing has to be there. When it looks like it's the guy who would be the most desirable dude in a stock firm. Like it just doesn't feel like a Dracula. It doesn't feel. There has to be a subversive quality to the actor. Yeah, I think.
I agree.
Like Christian Bale could play a vampire. You know what I mean? But Tom Cruise, sorry, I just don't buy it. It you know what I mean?
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
You put a person like that in a goth club, they're the tourist.
Right.
So you need that thing.
Right.
And I feel like the remake of Fright Night, because they chose Colin Farrell, I just don't buy him. I don't buy him as that. It just doesn't work for me. No. And I don't think the film was bad, but that was just a poor casting. It just similar, just didn't feel right.
Yeah. I don't remember it, but maybe that's why.
Exactly. People are talking about classic Fright Night. People are not talking about remake Fright Night. So, okay.
Okay, so what's your next one?
So my next one is kind of a curveball choice. It is Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust 2000, and this is an anime. Mm-hmm. There's Vampire Hunter D, the original, and this is the 2000. I guess it's a sequel. The story is so cool, and the vampire world is really great, and the vampire action is awesome, and it's really gory, and it's scary. It is the best in that supernatural anime that I really, really like. And there's also a really great love story in the film as well. Do you remember this?
Vaguely.
It's so good.
I vaguely remember it.
It's so good. And I know that there's like a new Castlevania series on Netflix that's really, really good and super gory and really violent. I feel like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, it's like that sort of thing done to a very, very high caliber. So the animation's great, the character design is great, story is great, just everything about it is awesome. If that was a live action vampire movie, it would probably be in my top 10 vampire movies of all time. So
I'll have to watch that again.
Yeah, it's fantastic. That's why I had to put it on there, and I wanted to pick some of the off the beaten path choices. Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust from 2000. Look for it. It is so cool. Very entertaining. Awesome. Do you have a next one?
Yeah. This is like the zombie land of vampire movies.
Okay.
So it's the 2014 movie called What We Do in the Shadows.
Okay.
And
I love that
movie.
So
it's vampire housemates try to cope with the complexities of modern life and show a newly turned hipster some of the perks of being the undead.
Okay. The only reason this movie isn't in my top 5 list is because technically it's not a horror movie, but I fucking love this movie.
But it still has, the blood-sucking moments because they have to feed and they're trying to prove to this guy how cool it is, but then it comes with its own set of issues that arise from it.
Yeah, and then they've got this Nosferatu guy.
Yeah.
And his makeup is just as good as Barlow in Salem's Lot. Just as good as classic Nosferatu. They clearly take the lore seriously, even though it is ridiculous comedy.
It's funny. It's like Zombieland.
Yeah, it's like a mockumentary. It's fantastic. That is definitely worth seeing. I mean, it's not going to scare you. But
it's not going to scare you.
It'll make you laugh. It is so funny.
It's another one of those fun date night vampire movies.
That was actually on my list to mention, like an honorable mention thing. Because I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I thought it was a fun movie.
Okay, so
what's yours?
To go along those lines,
okay.
Since we're kind of leaning it into a comedy thing, I really liked Shadow of the Vampire. with Willem Dafoe.
I don't remember that one.
So it tells the story of when they were filming the classic 1922 silent film Nosferatu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he plays Max Schreck. I think is that how you say his name? And and Willem Dafoe, I mean, my God, I swear he's only wearing a bald cap. I think everything else is just his face. Like he's But what's so funny about it, the movie is that Dafoe. there's all this urban legend about when he was doing, when Max Schreck was doing it, he was so method that he insisted on just being this character the whole time. And that's what the movie is. So it has a lot of dark comedic moments where this actor is just taking things a little too far. And you're not sure if he's the vampire or not. What's cool. And I think that's what they're kind of playing with it. Yeah. In that way. So it's kind of dark, but still creepy. Yeah. And maybe not so horror-y, but really worth the watch. It still has a creep factor, though. Yeah, and if you're a vampire nut, I mean, I forgot about that one. So you'll curl your toes at how good Willem Dafoe plays this role. It's like, oh my God, you should do 1 million vampire movies. You're just so cool. You get. He has that subversive, punk rock thing.
Definitely.
So yeah, it's Shadow of the Vampire. It is so cool. Like
I forgot about that one. Yeah, that one is a fun
really
one.
Great. Worth seeing.
Yeah, definitely.
And it got a lot of critical acclaim when it came out. It was like a indie darling sort of movie. You know, people were talking about it, and it's funny.
Yeah, it is.
It's funny.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so my next one is Let Me In.
Oh, yeah. Let Me In or Let the Right One In?
The one with Chloe.
Yeah, that's the American one.
Yeah, the American one. I like them both. But we just recently saw the...
Let Me In Again. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Mm-hmm. And she's becoming quite the horror darling.
I love that.
Yeah. It was originally a Swedish film. Mm-hmm. They remade it in 2010.
Yeah.
An American version of it. And it's about this young boy who's being bullied at school and this vampire girl who's slightly older, maybe a year or two older.
We've mentioned it a couple times in previous episodes.
We have.
But since watching it again, I did notice, and I think we spoke about this before, is that the American version is a little more... It's more horror.
Oh, yeah. Like for sure.
It puts the horror out front a lot more.
Yeah.
And there's aspects of the Swedish film that are kind of feel good. There's a feel good quality to the Swedish film. And I think the American film, it's not. No. It's not as feel good.
It's not.
Yeah. Like the fact that the little boy at the beginning, he's kind of starting to become a dangerous kid. Like when he puts the mask on and he's got the knife. Well,
because he's being bullied, so he's trying to figure out how to...
Right, and it's in the original film. Himself. That sort of thing is in the original film. But for some reason, in the American film, it comes off a little more serial killer-y.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does.
So there's a little more of a cynical horror take on it.
Yeah.
Which to me gives it a little more teeth, which I kind of prefer. And when you see her transform, you see her more.
Yeah.
As the creature. And... it's more, it's a little more alarming. Yeah. I think.
And I prefer the death scene of the woman she bites.
Yeah.
In the American version.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a lot more horrific.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot more horrific. But I think the Swedish one, she kind of chooses that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really, like, it's a little more heartfelt. But that's kind of my point. Yeah. In the American version, it's not heartfelt.
No.
When that happens to her. So it's just a little more of a cynical, darker take on the film. And I can appreciate that as well.
Yeah. No,
you know?
Yeah, it's really good.
The horror fan in me probably enjoys that movie more because of the darker quality.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But I love the other film as a film. You know what I mean?
No, they're both really good. They're both, if you haven't watched either one of them or in a while, you should watch them. They're good. They're both really good.
Yeah.
Okay, you're up next.
I thought I did. I thought we're not done. Yeah, because I started it. We're done.
Oh, we're done. Oh.
We're done with our 5. But there's so many others I could mention as an honorable mention. I'll just go through them quickly, and then you can respond.
Okay.
Dracula 1979. Oh my God, I love this remake. It stars Frank Langella, Laurence Olivier. It's imagine like when they did Bram Stoker's Dracula, and it was like that generation's Dracula. Mm-hmm. So it's 1979. They're trying to resurrect the Universal property. They get Frank Langella.
I love Frank Langella.
Perfect.
Yeah, he's a good Dracula.
He's a perfect Dracula. Yeah. Super elegant, super intelligent. The only thing that really dates the film is that his hair looks a little too blow-dried.
It does.
A little too blow-dried.
It does. It's all poofy.
But the horror moments in this movie are top drawer.
Yeah.
There's a scene that I will never forget. It's the Laurence Olivier, he plays Van Helsing. And his daughter becomes a victim of Dracula. And he has to exhume her body to put a stake through her so that way her immortal soul is saved, right? So they go to do this, and it's nighttime, of course, in a graveyard.
Of course they go at night.
Yeah. And it turns out that there's like tunnels underneath the coffin. And so it's, she's escaped or whatever.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And you do eventually see her. And when you see her, she is absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, I remember watching that scene as a kid and going, wow, I'm watching a Dracula movie. Oh, yeah, hell yeah, I'm watching a Dracula movie. Like, I was super happy. I'm like, and then that scene happens and you see her. She was so scared.
Yeah, she's very scary.
She's scared. And then she'd be like, Papa.
Yeah.
Like she was reaching for him. That scene is really scary. There's other scenes where Dracula kills people in the most brutal way. Mm-hmm. And so this is a horror movie. This has horror movie teeth. Yeah. But it also has the gothic romance. It has all that stuff. This is a great Dracula remake.
It is.
The only problem... I shit
his
you not.
Hair. It is.
The only
funny.
problem is Frank Langella's hair.
Yeah,
it's just a little too 70s blow dried.
Yeah, it is.
But it's great. 1979 Dracula remake. Frank Langella, Laurence Olivier. Check it out. That one's really, really good.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Okay, so let me throw some other ones at you.
Okay.
Stakeland 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was going to mention those, but I know we've talked about them before.
The only reason they're not in my top 5, or I mentioned them, is because in this lore, the vampires are a little more creature-like. So the attraction and sexiness thing is completely gone from it. Daybreakers.
Yeah, I saw that on the list. I was looking at the list and I couldn't remember it.
Yeah,
Ethan Hawke. No.
Daybreakers, Ethan Hawke. It's kind of the story is the vampire virus has taken over the world, and now vampires are the dominant species.
Right. And
most people have been turned, and society has kind of continued, but everyone is a vampire. And it's got all this great intrigue about this renegade group that finds a cure, but that information is being suppressed, and
I want to watch it again.
Yeah, it's an interesting film, and it does have some cool practical horror elements, and it's definitely worth a watch. It's a little more of a thriller, action, adventure, less horror, but still worth seeing. Near Dark. I don't know if you remember Near Dark.
No.
Really similar to The Lost Boys. It's a young man. He meets this girl. He's attracted to her, but her family is a family of vampires. Lance Hendrickson is in it. Bill Paxton is in it. It's a lot more serious, and there's a lot of desert, Southwest sort of feel to it.
I don't remember that one.
Look for that one. That one's worth seeing.
Sounds interesting. I like the family of vampires.
Yeah. And if you like Lost Boys, you'll like this movie.
play, make out, marry, or meh.
Okay, Reyna, since everyone seems to like make out, marry, or meh, I figured we would do a vampire edition.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so here's the premise. Okay. You and I were casting a new HBO vampire show.
Ooh, okay.
So I'm going to name off actors that we would potentially use.
Okay.
And make out means, okay, we like them. They're going to be on the show as a guest appearance. Okay. Either as a guest vampire or a guest victim or a guest vampire hunter.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Marry means this person has to be a regular. They're awesome, either as a vampire or vampire hunter. That sort of thing.
Okay.
Or
okay.
Not well, victim you can't, or familiar, whatever. And then meh means we don't. Sorry, we're not
Pass.
feeling you. Yeah, so we
don't want to suck your blood.
Right.
Okay.
So that's kind of how it works. Okay.
All right. Cool.
So here we go.
Let's see who you got.
Okay, the first actor is Ryan Reynolds.
Ooh. Mary.
You want him on the show permanently?
It's hard because, you think of... Okay, so he's a great actor.
Yeah.
And I love Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
But he's funny.
Yeah.
So...
I would say, the guy is a really good dramatic actor.
He is.
What I would say about Ryan Reynolds is that he's one of those rare breeds that could play the vampire hunter or the vampire.
Yeah.
Because I think he has an edge. So
I think I would like to... I would say Mary as a vampire hunter.
Mary's a vampire hunter?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it would be cool as a vampire hunter.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
Yeah.
I would love him on the show, and I think he would make... if I had to choose between vampire and vampire hunter, I would have to choose vampire hunter. Yeah.
There's a certain look... There's a certain... And this is so superficial for me, but there's like a certain physicality for me when I think about vampire.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think it's the offbeat thing.
Yeah.
Looks-wise.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one, Tilda Swinton.
Total vampire.
Yeah,
and Mary.
She'd Mary, vampire queen.
Forever Mary.
She's a vampire queen.
Oh yeah.
Like she gets it. The androgyny thing would be great.
The transformation alone would be amazing.
She's so stately and intelligent, and she just
has one of those.
And then she has the renegade.
That's what I'm talking about, though. The physicality of how she looks.
It's kind of an otherworldliness.
Yeah. She would be. I would love to even just see that transformation.
Yeah.
Scene.
Yeah.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah, she would be great. Okay. Next one, Jason Statham.
Makeout, vampire hunter.
Okay, so you'd want him as a guest appearance?
A regular guest appearance.
Okay.
Maybe not permanent, but regular. I think he would be good. I think he would be a good vampire hunter.
He wouldn't be permanent cast then. You wouldn't see him every episode.
I know this is dumb on me, but it's hard to get past the sensational Fast and Furious stuff.
See, I always think of him from Snatch.
I know. He's great.
I love that movie.
No, he's great. But for me, I'm going to stick with my guns. I'm going to say make out vampire hunter.
Okay, make out vampire hunter. Yeah. Definitely vampire hunter for me. I love Jason Statham. I'm not a huge fan of the movies he does, but he has such a cool, rugged quality.
He does.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'll do the same thing. Okay.
So make out for both.
Yeah. Next one, Lupita Nyong'o.
Vampire, regular, Mary.
Mary and vampire. Yeah. I agree with you.
Because she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
But she, on Us, was so good. Playing in that movie.
Yeah, playing Red.
She was super creepy. Yeah. So I totally think she could.
She understands horror.
Yeah, she could totally pull off a vampire.
And I think a big part of vampires, the authenticity, of getting the authenticity right, is choosing someone who's very attractive. Mm-hmm. And that way the viewer
vampires have to be attractive.
Yeah, that way the viewer goes, oh my God, I would totally fall into her prey. Like I would fall into her web. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. There's a difference unfortunately, between women and men. Because I feel like if the men are too pretty, for me, it doesn't work.
Yeah, there still has to be an offbeat thing. Yeah. I get that.
But women can be gorgeous and be vampires.
Yeah, okay. Charlize Theron.
Marry
marry
her 100 times.
We'd have Tilda Swinton as one of the vampire queens, maybe of Europe, and then Charlize can be of North America because I love her too.
That woman could seduce a doorknob. I mean, she's sexy, perfect. Beautiful. She's great actress.
Yeah, she can do the physical roles too.
Oh yeah.
We would be lucky to have her on our show.
Oh my gosh.
So let's marry both of us.
Totally marry.
Vampire queen.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Robert Downey Jr.
Oh, I love Robert Downey Jr. so much. I'm gonna say make out vampire.
Okay.
Like a guest star vampire.
That's interesting. I was thinking about this, and I agree with you. I think he could play a vampire because he does have
play a vampire.
He has a renegade thing.
Yeah.
But you know what? The more I think about it, especially after seeing his Sherlock Holmes movies, he would be such a badass Van Helsing.
Oh yeah,
he's so bright.
He would.
And he just seems like the kind of guy who could pull off a Van Helsing. The intellect side and. He's such a great actor too.
He would be a great Van Helsing.
And then he could do the quiz.
Yeah.
All
right, so I agree with that.
Yeah,
whatever category that
he could be like the almost like the guy who trains, who's kind of this older, seasoned vampire hunter guy, right?
Yeah.
And then lots of intellect and
yeah.
Great.
I agree with that.
Okay. Would he be a regular then?
Well, I don't know how often does Van Helsing come out.
I think it would be cool for Van Helsing to come out every so often.
So let's say make out Van Helsing. There we go.
Okay, cool. Bill Skarsgård.
Total vampire. That dude's so creepy.
Yeah.
That again has a physicality. I could see him as Nosferatu.
Yeah.
The grand poobah of vampires.
I would love to see him in Barlow makeup.
Yeah.
From Salem's Lot. I think he would look... He knows what to do when he's got tons of makeup on. He knows how to work with it.
Yeah.
It's just, he's like, and then he's like 6 something.
Yeah.
He's like a huge dude.
He's huge, lanky.
Yeah.
And then he has a boyish face, so it's all creepy.
Yeah. He could do the more of the classic Nosferatu look. Okay. Zoe Saldana.
I love her, but I don't know. I'm gonna say May on her only yeah.
Really?
I just don't think this would be the right role for her. I think she's a badass. I just don't think the vampire world works for her, in my opinion. What about you?
I could see her being a vampire.
Really?
Like maybe guest. So I would say make out and as a vampire.
I don't see it. But she's gorgeous. I don't know. Something about her I just don't see as a vampire.
Okay. All right. We don't have to agree. Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
This dude creeps me out because I love him.
Yeah.
On Walking Dead. Uh-huh. And then when you see him in interviews, he's like this super sweet man.
Yeah.
So weird. Anyway. Sorry. I love this guy.
He's got so much charisma. It's crazy.
He really does. I think I would say make out, and I would see him as a vampire hunter.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's time to kill some bloodsuckers. I could just see him like being super spirited. Like, sorry.
I don't see him as a vampire.
I could see him being like a kind of a hillbilly strain of vampire. You know what I mean? Or like a southern vampire. I could see that working. I think he's similar.
I don't know.
I think he's similar to certain actors where he could do both. But I think if I had to choose, if it came down to the wire, I would want him to be a vampire hunter.
Yeah, I see him more as a vampire hunter.
Yeah. Is he regular or is he make out or marry?
I say make out. For me.
Oh, that dude brings so much charisma.
You can have too many alphas as vampire hunters.
Yeah, but they all have to be tough. I would say marry. I would say marry as a vampire hunter.
Cool.
So, okay.
You're wrong, but that's cool.
Okay, next one. Tom Hardy.
Meh. Sorry, Alex.
Really?
I don't see him as... I think he's great. I think, women find him attractive. Mm-hmm. I just... No. I would pass. That's just me.
I would see him as kind of a guest appearance and on the vampire hunter side. I don't see him I don't see him as a vampire. He just doesn't have the angular face for it.
He's like, too meaty. What I mean?
Yeah. So.
No. But for me, it's meh.
Okay. Rosario Dawson.
Vampire queen.
Another vampire queen.
Yeah. She's I love that girl.
She has the renegade thing.
Everything. She's edgy.
She's beautiful. Yeah.
She's beautiful.
She's great.
She's charming.
Yeah.
She has all the qualities.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. And I would say Mary because she should be a regular. Mary.
Can you imagine her, Charlize, and Tilda? Oh my God. And Lupita?
Yeah. That'd be great. Okay. Josh Brolin.
Mary vampire for sure.
Mary and vampire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
It's interesting. You would think that he's this macho dude, and I just don't see him as a vampire hunter. I see him as a fucking vampire.
I mean, I think he could definitely do either one, but I would love to see him as a vampire.
Yeah,
because he has the sexiness too, the bad boy thing, like to be a vampire.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I agree with you, Mary, and he's a vampire.
Yeah.
Margot Robbie.
Man.
Oh, come on. See, you're being. I see. I think she would be great as a vampire queen.
No
or not a vampire
way.
Queen, but a vampire.
Total victim.
I say make out and vampire.
I say pass. Big man on that one for me.
Oh my God.
Sorry, I just don't see her as that.
I liked her as Tonya Harding. I thought she was good in that. Okay.
Well, Tonya Harding can be your vampire queen then.
Okay. Michael B. Jordan.
Oh, that's an interesting choice. So, I thought he was really great in in all the movies he's done, but he was really good in Black Panther as the villain.
Mm-hmm. He's got a lot of range because, like,
I guess I'm gonna say Mary. Well, let me finish my thought. Thank you. I would say no. I think I would say make out to give him maybe see if he moves into the marriage zone to see how he would do as a vampire. I think it'd be really interesting to see him as a vampire because, again, he has such a... I know he looked hard and all that as a villain in Black Panther, but he has kind of a sweet baby face. So it'd be interesting to see what he would look like as a vampire. So I would say make out vampire, but maybe could slip into Mary.
Yeah. I'd like to see him as a vampire. I'd like to see him try the vampire thing because I thought he was really intimidating in Black Panther.
No, it's fine.
And he's great in Creed. I mean, he plays heroic characters really well. But I think this guy has a lot of range, and I'd like to see what he would do as
he's a really good actor.
Role. Okay. So, make out vampire. Okay. Rami Malek.
Make out... No, I'm sorry. Mary? Mary? Mm-hmm. Vampire, for sure.
Yeah.
I think he'd make a really interesting looking vampire.
Mm. He comports himself with intellect too.
Yeah, and he has kind of that suave body language to him.
Yeah,
that could be a vampire.
I think he could pull it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the teeth aren't there, right? Like those were fake. He don't have those.
Those were fake.
He doesn't have those summer teeth.
Specifically for Freddie Mercury.
Okay, so in real life he doesn't have those summer teeth.
No, he has regular teeth.
All right. Just checking, because vampire summer teeth won't be cute.
He'll be used to having teeth in there, so when we put the fangs on him, he'll be ready for it.
I know, but we don't want them to be like summertime.
Stop it. Okay, Chris Pratt.
Oh, he's so cute. I think I would say make out vampire hunter.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I am. Unfortunately, I don't see him as a vampire.
No.
And I think he'd be really.
His physicality
really
is alright for a vampire.
As a guest
but he'd be a cool vampire hunter.
Okay.
Like a comic relief one.
Okay. Denai Guerrera.
Oh.
Michonne.
So of course I naturally want to say vampire hunter just because she's such a badass in both Walking Dead and Black Panther, but I think she would be an amazing vampire queen.
Yeah, I think so too.
Her face is gorgeous.
Yeah, like it's funny when you see her on Talking Dead and she smiles. She like lights up the room. Yeah. So, and I think that femininity would serve really, really well for the vampire role to kind of lure victims in.
And she's super feminine. I mean, when you see her in interviews and stuff. Yeah.
And then she can do the physical parts really, really well as well. Okay, and last one, Jessica Chastain.
Ooh, I think I would say makeout, vampire.
Yeah.
To see what that would be like, but I totally think she could pull it off.
Yeah, I think she could completely pull it off. After seeing her in Crimson Peak. She played, and I think she's going to play White Queen in the X-Men, the new X-Men film.
Yeah.
I think she could totally pull it off.
Yeah, I think she could too.
And she's a great actress as well.
Very great actress.
Cool. That's it. Are you ready?
Awesome. Yeah, that was fun.
Cool.
I really like that.
We're gonna have an amazing TV show, you guys.
I know, right? All those heavy hitters and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Guest appearances. Who wants to fund us?
All right, next one.
And now, our feature review.
Okay, Reyna, it's time for this week's feature review.
Okay, all right.
And since this is the vampire episode, I figured we would review the most recent vampire movie I could find. And I found one on Amazon, and it's called Eat Locals.
Okay, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
Do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Facing difficult times with their glory days long gone, the 8 undisputed British vampire overlords gather up for their semi-centennial meeting. However, before the break of dawn, there will be blood and corpses. Lots of them.
Okay, so this movie was... it's pretty recent. It's 2017. I wanted to find something that people could just stream like right away.
Yeah, because on Amazon Video.
Yeah. It's not... It's not what I was hoping to find. I mean, I like horror comedies, but I always prefer, on the vampire side, I always prefer like a straight vampire movie.
Yeah.
What did you think of the movie?
I mean, it started off pretty good. Like it seemed like an interesting premise. It almost felt like a vampire apocalypse at first.
Yeah, sort of.
But then it just went all wrong.
Yeah.
There was no vampire shenanigans to be had at all.
Yeah, it
was weird.
It was almost like a comedy film that took the vampire premise.
Yeah.
And you know, like if you compare that to like What We Do in the Shadows. No. What We Do in the Shadows is a vampire film that's a comedy. Like, it's very, very different. Everything that you would want in a vampire film is in What We Do in the Shadows. The transformations, the effects, the awesome practical makeup, all the references to vampire lore. Like, it's all there.
Yeah.
And this was more...
It was weird. I don't know.
There's a vampire element, but it's not really that great of a vampire film, and it's not really that great of a comedy, which makes me kind of sad. Did you say who's in it?
Well, I haven't, but I'm going to say this. So the director is Jason Fleming, and from what I can see from his profile, like, he hasn't done any horror. Like, he did Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So I don't think he's, like, typically, like, like a horror director.
What did he do in Lock, Stock?
He was...
Because Guy Ritchie directed that.
Maybe he was a producer or something.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. But, and then the writer was Donnie King.
Okay.
And he did, like, Wild Bill, The Naked Truth, like, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe they just weren't horror people or something, because I feel like that showed through on the film.
Yeah, I think that very much showed through. It's again, it's not really a horror film in any way or a vampire film in any way. I mean, there's vampire moments and elements, but it's clearly trying to be more comedic than anything, but it's patchy at best.
And then there's the action sequences, which I'm not going to give away because it'll spoil the movie if you want to check it out.
Yeah.
But it just kind of didn't go. It was almost like they meshed two genres together.
They didn't know what they wanted to do.
And then again, there was no vampire stuff.
Right. Right.
Really.
And Charles Cox is in it everyone knows him from Daredevil. So I was looking forward to seeing him in that. And yeah, unfortunately, I didn't think the film was very good.
Yeah, it just felt really flat for me. It didn't have enough horror elements in it.
And it had, it didn't have any laugh out loud moments either. Maybe some chuckle moments. I agree with you. At the beginning, I thought, oh, this is going to be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
When all the vampire leaders are meeting, and it's not as comedic at the beginning. So you think, okay, they're going to walk this cool line between, the whole vampire thing and comedy, but it just kind of disintegrates. The whole film just kind of falls apart. And towards the end, it's just like, all right.
Yeah, I agree.
I was so sad because I wanted to have a really fun, cool movie to recommend to people for this episode. But I wouldn't say this one.
We looked hard, people. Like, we really tried to look for a good vampire movie to watch. But we went with this one, and unfortunately, it just didn't satisfy our vampire.
It was a little flat. It was a little flat
movie
all the way through, both from a comedic standpoint and, a vampire standpoint.
But if you've seen a recent vampire movie that you could recommend, please put it on our Facebook page or Twitter or everywhere you can find us.
Wherever you comment.
I think that would be awesome. We're open to watching movies that you recommend as well.
Absolutely. Cool. Okay, Reyna. Before we end the episode, I wanted to mention to the listeners a show we've been watching and we've been loving, and it's so appropriate for this episode. It's the FX TV series, What We Do in the Shadows.
I love this series. It's so awesome.
This show's hilarious.
Oh my God.
It's
amazing.
It's not horror, but I swear to God, it's
vampires.
It's like The Office for goths.
Yes, it totally is.
It's so
oh my God, it's
awesome.
such a good...
It's perfect, right?
It's good.
So if you've seen What We Do in the Shadows, the film, this follows... I mean, it feels like it's in exactly the same universe.
It's so good.
When I first saw that they were doing the series and it wasn't the original comedic actors, I was a little disappointed. But you just have to watch one episode and you realize that
they're amazing.
That this cast totally gets it. They know exactly how the humor needs to be done, and it has exactly the same spirit and energy of the original film. And then it brings new ideas to the table. I think it's such a great show.
It's so awesome.
We've seen 4 episodes so far, and each episode gets progressively funnier and funnier.
Yeah. I look forward to every night that it's, when it comes on, I love to watch it. It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's interesting because I've seen other, films and comedy skits that kind of mock the whole vampire lore thing. But this show does it so well because you could tell it pays respects to it.
Oh, yeah.
And loves it.
Yeah.
I don't think it's laughing at vampires. No. It's laughing with vampires.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all the effects are really cool. The costuming is great. Mm-hmm. The entire cast is fantastic. Yeah. They're so funny.
Yeah.
And they know exactly the spot they're trying to hit.
Yeah.
And then all the wraparounds on the show, like the titles, the title screens and all the in-between art, it's so cleverly thought out. It shows the vampires in different points in history, as like oil paintings and things like that.
Yeah.
It's so spiritedly creative and comedically hysterical. Yeah. I love this show.
It's such a great show. In case you don't know, if you haven't seen the movie or the series, so it's basically modern day, and they have these vampires that are being followed around by a camera crew.
Yeah, it's like The Office. It's like a mockumentary.
Right, like a mockumentary filming a day in the life or the night in the life of a vampire.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And so the cast is, Nandor is played, I'm going to totally mangle these names, so please forgive me. Kaya Novak And then Nadia, which is my favorite. I love
great.
her.
She's so
great. It's played by Natasha Demetrio. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name.
Demetrio.
And then she's been married for centuries to Matt Berry, who plays Laszlo, who's amazing.
Yeah.
And then a familiar, who's Guillermo. Guillermo is Nando's familiar.
Yeah.
And he's played by Harvey Guillén. He's really funny.
Yeah, and what's funny about him is that he's your classic familiar. He's kind of this wannabe vampire.
He wants to be a vampire so
he's like,
bad.
Yeah, he's like a little fanboy.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny the way...
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Oh my God, the way they treat him and everything. It's funny.
So funny. And then one of the gems is this energy vampire.
Yeah, he's a new addition to the whole thing.
He's so good. So an energy vampire is just what it sounds like. It's that dude that you encounter that talks your ear off, that just sucks all your energy.
Yeah, super boring.
Yeah, super boring.
Super boring and mildly pessimistic.
Pessimistic and just totally wants to just eat all your energy.
I feel like he is the comedic gem of the show, like the new thing. Not that the other stuff isn't amazing, because it's all amazing. It's so all good.
But he plays the energy vampire in characters Colin, and he's played by Mark Prokshesh. I'm probably saying that totally wrong, but he's awesome. Yeah, he's great.
Oh my God, it's so funny, and the show keeps getting better and better. Like I said, they even did an episode that kind of reignites the rivalry between vampires and werewolves.
That was such a great episode.
Super hilarious.
Yeah.
I love this show. Like I look forward to seeing it. It's on every Wednesday. I look forward to seeing it because I think it's so funny. And to me, it's like my office. Like, and it's great. You know what's cool is that the sets are great.
Yeah.
The effects they're meant to be comedic from a timing standpoint. Yeah. But they're still really well done. The costuming is awesome.
They get the vampire stuff right.
Yeah, the makeup is awesome.
Yeah.
They have some older vampires come visit them, and they look incredible. You could put them in any vampire movie, and they would look perfect.
And they're your typical polyamorous vampires too. So that's awesome. Because even though there's a married vampire couple, they're like polyamorous, and
I predict if really enough people find out about this series, it's going to be a massive
Please watch it. It's so funny.
So funny. Yeah. Every episode is hysterical. I'm like on the floor laughing.
Yeah.
And I never, as a vampire myself. No, as a vampire fan. As a vampire fan, I'm never offended by this show because you can tell there's so much love for the lore in there as well.
They respect the lore.
And they mock the shit out of it too. Yeah. So I love that.
Please watch it. It's so good. I mean, it just really, it hits. It's funny, so that hits that spot, and it hits your vampire spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you get it. Because they're awesome as vampires. Sometimes they're like, hit or miss vampires. Like sometimes they fuck up, but it's so funny.
To me, the biggest bar is when the biggest signal for me loving something is when I want a T-shirt of it. Like right away.
Oh my God, I want one of
I want to What We Do in the Shadows T-shirt with the teeth. You know how they have the teeth.
I just want Nadja. She's my favorite.
So funny. It's such a great show.
Yeah.
Highly, highly, highly recommended. If you love vampires, you will love this show.
One of the best episodes was actually the energy vampire meets his match in an office setting. That's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, so good.
So funny.
Hilarious. Every episode has been so funny. All right, cool.
So check it out. Okay, well, how did it feel? This was your jam, your favorite genre horror movie.
Oh my God, I could talk about vampires forever.
Vampires are really cool.
It's just something that it's one of the genres that it just captures my imagination. It's funny too because people will say, "Oh, there aren't any good vampire movies anymore," and then I'll throw one at them. I'm like, "Oh, have you seen Stakeland? What about Stakeland 2?" Or, I'll throw something modern at them. And they're few and far between. There's a lot of great classic stuff that I really like, but it's just one of those. It's one of those genres that I really like, and it's fun to talk about them. So.
Yeah, I think we need to find that picture of you as Dracula when you're little and put it on our Facebook page.
Yeah, hey, it's
so cute.
It's so funny too because ask my mom. I'm 4 or 5 years old. Who is my favorite Muppet from Sesame Street? The Count.
Yeah.
Every time. I used to do his voice and everything. This was before I knew what gothic music was, what any of that before that stuff even really officially existed. But yeah, I've always been captivated by the vampire thing.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, vampires are really cool.
They are.
Well, that was fun. It was fun to hear all your choices.
Yeah.
Scare you later.
The Date Night Horror Show is written and produced by Enzo and Reyna. All music written and produced by Enzo. Follow the show on Facebook.com/The Date Night Horror Show. Find Enzo and Reyna online at The Date Night Horror Show.